Hi, everybody. We're talking about the clitoris today. We're talking about anatomy. We're talking about how to give and receive so much more pleasure. I think one of the problems we've gotten into in medicine around sexology is too much time comparing, say, parts of the female anatomy to parts of the male anatomy. And this kind of leads people to think that the function is the same. Now, there's overlaps of the function, right? We're all human, so we all need blood flow, we all need hormone balance, we all need nervous system, say, triggering and stimulation. All of these things are similar. So it's not that there's not similarities, but I think the more we try to say, hey, this is totally analogous, the less we spend time celebrating the differences and really understanding how to pleasure each other more. So one of the problems I see oftentimes happen is so much time, if we are spending time with the clitoris, so much time is spent just on this area, just on the main clitoral bulb, which is what people typically call the clit, right? So that's just this area. Now, that area is extremely sensitive. There's tons of nerve endings. Most of the time, if people are massaging that area, what they're actually massaging is the hood, which comes over this area and actually covers that clitoral bulb. Sometimes you can, say, use fingers to kind of pull back that hood and expose that bulb more easily. For some women, that feels amazing, that direct stimulation. For other women, it is way too much. One of the things that happens, though, is I think we spend so much time here that we forget about all of the other parts of the vulva, all of the other parts of the female body that are so stimulated by pleasure. So the clitoris, we have the shaft. So basically, if we go kind of up, like towards our face, and this is the bulb, then right above it, we have the shaft. The shaft is also filled with a lot of erogenous tissue that gets completely engorged. This area can feel extremely good when pressed on. So sometimes if we just move our fingers up a little bit north, we can get stimulation in a whole new way. And then it's important to understand that the clitoral legs actually come and they are further down underneath our pelvic bones here. So the clitoral legs also can be stimulated. And I think probably the most missing area that I see is the labia. So under our inner labia, the labia or the minor labia, sometimes that's technically the bigger labia. And so the labia minor, which is just the inner labia. So this has a ton of nerve endings, but beneath it is this like structure called a bulb, as well as a structure called a vestibule. And these structures feel amazing for many women when they are touched. They're also an area of a ton of nerve endings and a ton of pleasure. So when we're thinking about pleasing a woman from a standpoint of oral pleasure, penetration, whatever it is, we really want to think about this entire structure here. We also have additional tissue here between the vaginal opening and the anus, which can be very, very stimulating for people. The mons, which is right here at kind of this pubic bone area. This area can also feel extremely good and can have a lot of nerve endings. And what we actually see is there's a huge difference from woman to woman around where the nerves are. So some women, for example, might have more nerve endings over here in this vestibule. Others might have more nerve endings over here. So this is where I find that it's like super important to have that verbal feedback and to realize as a man and as a woman, to realize that there's no way that men are capable of just reading and knowing what the pleasure is like for a woman, because for one woman, the nerves are going to be over here. Another woman, the nerves are going to be over here. So that's extremely, extremely important. So for most women, it does seem to be a common thing that changing it up and trying this and trying that works really well and does pretty well. For most women, though, it's very common that if you get to that point where she's kind of at that peak and her arousal is really high, that it is going to be important to continue with the same thing. So it's not uncommon when you're in this exploratory world for things to be feeling good and for you to find something that the woman's like, oh, this is really the spot. This is doing it, right? and all of a sudden you switch, and she was close and she was aroused and she was close to her peak, and then she drops down and she has to start all over again. Now, that's not bad if you have that as a plan, right? That can be part of edging sometimes, to have that as a plan, and that can sometimes lead to better and better orgasms. And that being said, from a standpoint of reaching that climax, if you are exploring and you guys are looking to reach that climax, I'm a full believer that, that pleasure is not just about the climax, it's about all components of things. But if you're going for that climax and you are exploring, really have that feedback mechanism down, where if you're finding that thing, and if you're a woman and you're listening to this, and if you're finding that your partner found this spot that is amazing, it's good to have some sort of signal mechanism to tell them to stay there for a little while, to not change anything, right? And so this is something that is important. It's also important to realize that the sensation oftentimes changes with age too. So you might find that something that is pleasurable for you at one age is kind of out at a different age, or something that was like not very interested comes in, and all of a sudden at a different age you're very, very interested in it again. So that's a little bit of a breakdown of this. And the biggest thing I would really encourage you is just getting away from like clitoral pleasuring just at that bulb, and really exploring all of the structures of the vulva, all the structures internally as well, and beginning to just understand that for every woman, the way the nerves are going to be laying it's going to be a little bit different. So that's where that feedback is super essential. So I hope this has helped you guys. I hope you will join my Libido Club. In my Libido Club, we do, stuff like this, many more details. We talk about techniques, tricks, ideas. It's a time for you to get a lot more information that I don't deliver here on YouTube. Plus, it's a time for you to get your questions answered. So I hope you will join me in the club. Information in the show notes. You can also go take my libido quiz to learn about the root causes of your low libido. So that's in the show notes as well. And please do subscribe, you guys. It really does help me give this content and information for free, and to reach more people that simply just need more pleasure in their lives. I'll see you soon.